Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Disruptive animal activists will face more severe penalties when protesting on private properties under new federal legislation passed this week. The laws aim to protect farmers, but one Tasmanian organisation says they silence those fighting against cruelty.
Secretly filming the depths of an activist action. This type of disruption could result in harsh penalties, thanks to the Animal Invasion Bill.
This legislation that passed this week will help us protect farmers, foresters and fishermen and women from people who use a carriage service to incite trespass and disruption of the workplace.
The state's farming body today welcoming the change, saying the laws protect everyone.
It's not acceptable for anyone to be forcing their way onto our premises. It puts at risk the safety of our families, employees and also those that trespass.
Penalties include 12 months jail time for inciting trespass and up to 5 years for damage to property. But the laws are condemned by Tasmanian activists.
To think that somebody who is peacefully occupying a space of exploitation and oppression should be treated like some of the worst criminals in our country is simply disgusting.
We want to make sure that right across the country, all farmers here in Tasmania, up in the top end, wherever, are protected from people that are breaking the law.
The amendments also target online conduct, including websites that list properties.
That Aussie Farmers website, there were farmers in Tasmania that were listed on that, and it's always a concern that they're a target for action.
These are businesses, they have names, they have addresses, they have phone numbers that are accessible online already. Our focus when we do engage in these actions is not on the people. Our focus is always on the animals.
Protections are in place for legal authorities, whistleblowers and journalists. Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
The clean-up continues from Wednesday night's wild weather. Repairs were underway at Goulburn Street Primary School after it suffered significant damage in the 113 km/h winds. Part of the roof caved in, forcing the school to close for 2 days.
It damaged the carpet, it damaged the wiring, it needs all new ceilings. So basically it all needs to be completely gutted and redone again. So it'll look pretty new when it's all finished.
It's expected students will return to the classroom on Monday. A new person charged over the murder of Jared Lee Turner is yet to enter a plea. 29-year-old Alani Makiola appeared in the Hobart Magistrates Court by a video link on a count of murder. The 22-year-old's body was found on the side of the road in Richmond in April with a gunshot wound to the head. The court heard Mr Makiola's lawyer, Greg Richardson, needs more information before his client can enter a plea. He's been remanded in custody and is due to reappear next month. 3 other people have previously been charged in relation to the death. The site of a new multi-million-dollar police station in Longford has been announced just days after new figures revealed a rise in crime in the state's north. Retailers say their biggest problem is young thieves who aren't scared of the penalties in place.
It's been a week from hell for local retailers, a spate of shoplifting cases just like this one in Launceston CBD in the wake of police figures confirming a rise in crime in Launceston.
There's been at least 12 reports of activity around town in the last 24 hours.
Luke Dawson is in constant talks with other retailers. He says young criminals are becoming more brazen and believes the Youth Justice Act is too soft.
I think they know what they are entitled to do, or what the law entitles them to do, and they take full advantage of it.
Retailers we spoke to shared similar concerns. In one case, a shop manager was punched by a girl who was trying to steal clothes. Extra security like CCTV helps.
Customers know that the cameras are here, and we've got to still be vigilant, we've still got to watch, but certainly has helped us.
The state government says new bag check laws introduced last month make it easier for staff to carry out bag checks without the need to hold a security licence, while an awareness and training program is also in place. While the Police Minister was at Longford today, revealing the site of a new $5 million police station.
It is about making sure that the police that are here have the appropriate infrastructure to do their work.
Although the crime rate here in Longford is low, this small 70 station is simply outdated and has no room to grow into the future.
Certainly the location is built for the expansion of the area.
Its replacement will be built a few minutes' drive from the town centre. It'll be up and running in 2021. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
He's one of the state's most successful and loved footballing sons, and now one of the key voices in helping Tasmania finally get its own AFL team. We caught up with Nick Riewoldt today with the St Kilda great, urging Tasmanians to stay patient.
In town as guest speaker at the annual Bill Sorrell Sports Lunch in Hobart, Riewoldt says he believes AFL House is finally starting to pay proper attention to the state's never-ending plight.
The question now is why not a Tasmanian team, and that seems to be the prevailing sentiment across the AFL landscape.
The former #1 draft pick and All-Australian says he also has full faith in AFL Task Force Chairman and co-founder of Virgin Australia Airlines, Brett Godfrey's ability to deliver on the dream.
It probably at times takes someone from outside of Tasmania. The parochial, we deserve a team stuff hasn't worked in the past, so to be able to strip it right back on a pure business case, how a Tasmanian team can be advantageous for the AFL is a really smart way to go about it. So that's essentially the role of the task force now.
Riewoldt has assured his fellow Tasmanians the task force is making headway towards addressing and overcoming hurdles facing the potential team, including player retention.
Specifically, my role within it is to ensure that the culture is one and the environment is one that players will want to not just stay in but thrive in.
The 336 gamer for St Kilda also urging the state's football fanatics to be realistic about their expectations and patient in regards to a time frame for a provisional licence.
I know there's a lot of momentum and excitement at the moment, but the reality is it's going to be a slow burn, and to make sure it's done properly rather than quickly is the most important element.
Tom Cooper, 7 Tasmania News.
A relocated Mount Wellington Visitor Centre has taken a step forward. Overnight, a Hobart City Council committee unanimously agreed to abandon plans for a new centre at the Springs. The site considered unsuitable because of traffic concerns. Authorities are now looking at a site further down the mountain at Hall's Saddle. The proposal will go to a vote of the full council. Summer is just around the corner, but it's an important time to remember to be SunSmart. Cancer Council and WorkSafe Tasmania reminding people who do outdoor jobs to slip, slop, slap. The high-risk months are from now until April.
UV does accumulate over time, so it's really important that they're protecting themselves as much as possible with clothing, hats that protect the face, neck and ears, sunscreen, shade and sunglasses.
Australia has one of the highest rates of skin cancer in the world, with 2 in 3 people diagnosed with the disease by the age of 70. A gas leak has been contained after an incident at Moona this morning. Emergency crews were called to Springfield Avenue at around 10:30 as Tasgas tried to isolate the problem. Firefighters helped monitor gas levels in the area while police shut down the road. Authorities say evacuations weren't needed and there was no wider risk to the public. The area was reopened 2 hours later. Tomorrow's NTFA Grand Final will feature, quite literally, a father-son rule. Dad Gary Kane will be joined by his son Nick in the pair's first Grand Final together as field umpires. It will be Gary's 7th NTFA decider in a row, having previously blown the whistle at the State League level in the 80s and 90s.
There were some fantastic games there. But look, having said that, in some ways I prefer to umpire the community regional footy. I think there's a bit more spirit and community involvement.
It's something we've worked hard on for the last 12 months. I've been involved for 10 years, but for something like this to happen is just a dream come true.
The first Grand Final Gary umpired was in 1984, which amazingly was the last time tomorrow's finalists, Bridgenorth and Hillwood, played each other in a Grand Final. Students at a Devonport college are tackling Australia's domestic violence issue, calling on Tasmanian businesses for donations. As part of the school's community service program, students are putting together emergency supply bags, as well as learning some new skills.
A startling statistic: 1 in 4 women in Australia are a victim of domestic violence. It's a terrifying situation for anyone, forcing many to flee their home with virtually nothing. But students at Devonport's Don College have created a new initiative, making emergency supply bags for men and women who are a victim of domestic violence.
When they're in a situation where they've just got to get out and leave, they don't really have time to pack up any basic necessities.
Students completing a Certificate 2 in community services have leaped out of their comfort zones, calling local businesses across the northwest seeking donations, both monetary and household items. The process arming the teenagers with a new set of skills.
They have to handle rejection, they also have to handle success, and it's a really good way of them connecting with community members.
With the alarming statistics around not just domestic violence but drug and alcohol issues, mental health, they're all issues that are very relevant to young people as they may experience them later in life.
It's also been an eye-opening experience.
There is a lot of people out there that are struggling and who are homeless because of domestic violence, and that it is a real issue.
Don College is calling on the community to help.
We do need supplies. We've got a fair few, but we do need more.
Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian researchers have been awarded a prize for their strange and somewhat gross study. They probed the mystery of why wombats poo cubes. They've discovered the animals have unusually long intestines with soft corners and rigid sides. The researchers found this is where the cubes are formed, dismissing the theory they're shaped on exit. For their unusual research, Doctors Carver, Edwards and Martin have been awarded the satirical Ig Nobel Prize. Meanwhile, the big guns have arrived in Tasmania ahead of an open day. One of the Royal Australian Navy's largest ships, the HMAS Canberra, is docked in Hobart. It's capable of carrying helicopters, armoured vehicles and even other large vessels. It's open to the public on a ticketed basis tomorrow.
And it's decider time in the Southern Football League, with reigning premiers Lindisfarne set to have their work cut out for them against the competition's form side in Huonville.
We know what to expect, and we've got 17 premiership players in our side from last year, and so they've experienced it all before, so they're ready to go.
And the boys deserved a week off after the way they've played, and we've freshened up and worked on some things that we needed to work on to execute better, and I think we're cherry ripe, ready to go.
Well, Lindisfarne will be calling on their big game experience in the women's grand final up against the season's surprise package, Brighton.
First time Brighton beat us by 70 odd points, and the last couple of times it's been 30, so we're certainly chasing hard, and as I said, you hope for a bit of luck on grand final day, but you trust in the process that we've got.
It's exciting. We've got over 50% of our list that have never played a game of football in their life, so to come through and play on the day that everyone wants to play in is massive for all of us.
The opening bounce for the women's match is at 11:15 a.m, while the men's clash kicks off at 3:30 p.m. at North Hobart Oval. The Tasmanian Tigers will enter the Sheffield Shield tournament under the helm of a new coach, with senior assistant Jeff Vaughan stepping into the top job in order to allow head coach Adam Griffith to oversee the men's program as a whole.
And when I say our whole program, it's right down to our pathway to our underage kids as well, and having a big impact on that system.
Been part of my objectives as a coach to one day fulfil a head coach role if and when the right opportunity arose. I'm really lucky to be in a wonderful setup here in Cricket Tasmania.
Griffith, who recently returned from bowling coaching duties with the Australian side in the UK, will still coach the state's one-day squad along with the Hobart Hurricanes in the Big Bash. The men's domestic season begins on September 23 with a one-day match against Victoria. Tassie Mare Mystic Journey has arrived safely in Melbourne ahead of the Group 1 Makybe Diva Stakes. Her trainer Adam Trinder says the rising star is close to 100% as excitement builds for her biggest challenge, the Cox Plate.
At a gentle walk around Flemington, trainer Adam Trinder knows deep down Mystic Journey is ready to go.
You know when she's coming up to a race, and she knows as well, sort of she really starts to build in herself, and she does get quite electric on the training track. So the last 3 days of track work, it's keep your finger under the neck strap and hold on tight.
The star mare, nicknamed Betty, is the talk of the Makybe Diva Stakes. She's the warm favourite for the 1600 metres Group 1 race.
Blood work's good, she's ready to go there and run a hell of a race.
She's slightly trimmer than her last start in the PB Lawrence Stakes. Trinder says skipping the Memsie Stakes was the right choice as Betty prepares for next month's Cox Plate.
Doesn't need to go to the races on a fortnight basis, and we don't like to take her there in that scenario either. We don't like to make racing a chore for her.
Betty shot to stardom after winning the All-Star Mile and hasn't looked back.
There first up in the PB Lawrence, there was 50 people outside a stall for the whole day. 10 people would leave, 10 more people would turn up. So she's really captured the imagination of people.
7 Tasmania will be broadcasting the race at 4:10 tomorrow afternoon. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
I don't know about you, but to me this afternoon it felt colder than it really should have been today. Temperatures were well below average. Hobart 15 degrees, 13 for the northern centres. 16 the top at Friendly Beaches after Mount Wellington, and Liawini dropped to -2. Ouse 15 degrees, St Helens 14, Smithton and the Islands 13, Low Head and Strawn 12. The approaching cold front produced the cloud band that crossed the state today. Not much rain in that. Zeehan and Strawn had 6 millimetres this afternoon. That frontal cloud band also reaching Victoria and South Australia, but plenty of clear air behind it. Most of the mainland free of cloud as well. The next system closing in on southern WA. Tomorrow the front should be through and off to the east with a low developing on its southern end. The high over the mainland moves a little to the east, another cold front well to the west. West to southwesterly winds, 20 to 30 knots, reaching 35 knots over the south and southeast. A northwesterly change is expected during the day, swells up to 4 metres. A gale warning is on from Wineglass Bay to Low Rocky Point, a strong wind warning for remaining coastal waters and also for the southwest lakes. Now a fine start to the weekend, maybe a late shower moving in. Hobart 18 degrees, 15 for Maydena and Oatlands with showers later in the day. Launceston, same sort of forecast, a sunny start to Saturday, 3 overnight, 18 the high, 15 for Devonport, just 12 for Liawini. Burnie expecting 15 degrees, a sunny start with late showers. Strawn 14 and 13 the top for Marrawar. 17 the high for St Helens with that late shower moving in. Swansea 18 degrees and 17 for Orford. On Sunday, showers contracting to the west and Bass Strait Islands. Cloudy on Monday with showers mainly over the west, central and south. And on Tuesday, a chilly start. Liawini a -5. Snow to 700 metres but mainly fine. 25 in Perth and Adelaide tomorrow. A sunny 19 degrees in Melbourne. In fact, fine and sunny for all mainland centres tomorrow. Toasty over Queensland and the Northern Territory. Partly cloudy in Hobart, 10, 11 degrees in Launceston, partly cloudy in Devonport, 11 degrees. I'm so glad the Powerball jackpot didn't go off. I didn't have a ticket, but I'll have one next week, Joe, and if I win the 150 million, I'll buy you Friday lunch.
My choice of restaurant. Thank you, Murph. That's all from the team for now. Thanks so much for your company. We'll see you a little later with updates. Bye-bye.